Well, I hope I'm live this time. I think I screwed up last time and was not live. So I apologize for that. Hopefully I've got it right this time and I am live. That's the idea anyway. So I'm, how late am I? I'm about 4 minutes late. Sorry about that. I hate when I mess up, but I do it often. So I'm becoming a real expert at it. Okay, Nana Banana, hi Bob. Catherine DePlure, hi Bob. Tantrum 006. Okay, got it now. Hello from Gulfport, Nancy R. Joe David, hey there, Bob. Well, I'm not going to read through all those. That'll be pretty boring. I don't want it to be boring. Whatever else, you can laugh at me, you can mock me, but don't let me be boring. We're talking about cooking, as you know. As you can see, I'm not outside. It's a rainy day today, so I am inside. Let me show you that it's a rainy day. I'll turn the camera around. And see, this is what I'm doing. I'm just sitting inside the van door, so I have natural light coming in. And I'll go over here, and I don't think you can see that. How can I do that? I don't know how to do that. But you can see it's raining, see some drips. I don't know if you can see the sprinkles on the lake, but it is definitely raining. And let me turn that back around and come back in. So I'm sitting inside the van. Don't want to be outside getting wet. That doesn't make much sense. Messed up my hair, my pretty hair, my Santa Claus hair. Okay, so today we're cooking, and before we get started on cooking, we'll do some announcements, and I'll keep the announcements a whole lot shorter. I so apologize for all the announcements last week, half an hour. If I go over 5 minutes, start yelling really loud. Everyone, please, because I don't want to do that. Okay, all right. That's not bad. All right, so announcements. First, a sad story, and I hope that's not demeaning to people. I mean, I've had some sad stories of my life, and it's, you know, what I've learned is that most people just want to be heard. We're in such an alienated society. No one hears us, and if you get a chance to tell your story and someone actually listens and cares. I mean, maybe they can't even help, but just the fact that they listened and cared is just enormous in the world we live in today. So I just want people to know that I do listen and I do care. So I'm going to read enough of this so you know what's going on. Hello, Bob. Can't thank you enough for all you do and your channel that gives answers, hope, and inspiration to so many. I'm really delighted to hear that that's true, and I know it is for a lot of people. My health is deteriorating. I planned on a nice RV and maybe a small piece of land when my house sells. Then everything fell apart. Health worsened, became disabled, lost my business, several major surgeries, now using a walker. They tell me I have stage 4 kidney disease, and my house is foreclosing. When it rains, it pours, and this poor person is just, it's pouring right now in their life. You know, see, it's not easy for me to ask for help. However, my family is all past. I'm wiped out mentally, spiritually, and monetarily bankrupt. This is no time for pride. I am about to be homeless, literally on the street homeless. Called HOWA, Homes on Wheels Alliance, the 501c3 that my good friend Sue Ann and I started, was able to speak to a real, live, caring human being. You will. If you call us, you write us, you'll talk to a human being. Wow. You have no idea how much hope this gave me. They took my information with concern, spoke of a van build party, said I may be eligible for solar panels. Bob, you and your community are doing some of the most authentic, generous, loving people. Oh, sorry. Bob, you and your community are some of the most authentic, generous, loving people I've ever met in my life. When I hung up, I cried. Good tears. First time in years. Thank you. God bless you and all for your help. So, folks, there are a lot of people out there in need. No matter what the news and everyone's saying, it's going to get a lot worse or it gets better. And we want to be here. And thanks to you, we will be. And we're ready to help people now. Okay, so first, let's remind you of a matching fund for the minivan build at fundly.com/minivan-build-match. We have an anonymous donor that will match it, anything you give, dollar for dollar. So if you can only afford 5, somebody else will donate another 5. It'll be 10. If you can give 20, it'll be 40. So so this guy writes, and he's broke, he's on bankrupt. Maybe we can put him into a minivan. I don't know. In fact, I don't think it's a man or a woman. I'm not going to tell you. 2 new applications for assistance. Go to homes. So these are applications you can go fill out. We're planning to do another minivan build in Pahrump, Nevada in October. So we'll have another minivan build to give away. 2 new applications for assistance available at homesonwheelsalliance.org/programs. First is for the minivan. You can go and apply for one of our minivans, the next one coming up or the one after that. And you can also apply for a solar panel kit. Santan Solar in Gilbert, Arizona. If you're buying solar panels, go to Santan Solar. He does sell controllers as well, but he has fantastic deals on panels. Please go to Santan Solar to buy your panels. Fantastic deals. He donated, and I'm not just saying that, he had great deals. I contacted him. I saw the prices on his panels, and I said, wow, this is someone I want to work with and promote. I contacted him and said, would you be willing to work with us at Homes on Wheels Alliance? He donated 40 solar panels. Amazing, 245-watt solar panels. So we're giving those away, complete kits. Go there to homesonwheelsalliance.org/programs to apply to get that, either one of those. We have an emergency fund set up. It is at about $9,000 right now. No, people have been donating very generously. We had a donor that donated $9,000, and then you folks have given so generously. I think it's up like you've donated almost $4,000, and it's so important that people get out here, and they're on their last leg anyway, and they can have a minor emergency come up, and they can afford that, and another one they can afford that, and then they can't cover the next one, and that's just something I hear all the time. We're covering that with you. You're not alone out here. Let me say that again a little more mindfully. You're not alone out here. And that's the terror, isn't it? That when your world falls apart, or even if your world isn't falling apart, money's not an issue for you, but you don't want to be alone. You don't want to face this massive change alone. You don't have to be. We've got the caravans going. You can go join the caravans and not be alone. You can contact us in an emergency, and we'll help you if we can. Okay, so Homes on Wheels Alliance at gmail.com. You can email us. Okay, next. I have a kind of a public warning, public announcement. It's come to my attention that, it's gotten so hot in a lot of places that car top carriers, even the good ones like Tule or Yakima, those are really high quality, expensive rigs. And then, of course, even the more expensive ones are more likely to do it. They can actually warp in the heat and pop open. This happened to someone, and they wrote in and wanted us to get this warning out, and I want to get this warning out. So one thing you might consider is at least always having a ratchet strap so you can run it through and around. You can run it through the windows and around. That means it would need to be at least 16 feet probably. And then if it does pop up, you can get it secured. And so keep your eye on it. You don't want to pop that thing up and have all your stuff fly out and hurt someone behind you. So just as a public safety announcement, be aware that those car top carriers can warp and pop open. And just to tell you the whole story, this one person, they pulled over safely off the side of the road to fix the car top carrier, which had popped open, and just as a kind of a freak accident, someone, a truck pulling a trailer, happened to lose control of the trailer at exactly that moment, and a person was killed. I mean, it's just a horrible tragedy that something like that could happen. But I think it's really important that we let you know that those car top carriers will warp, they'll just suddenly pop open, and that can be a real disaster. So if you have gutters, you might want to think about just running a strap across them all the time, or you wouldn't, it's not going to blow off. They're pretty secure. The heat's not going to make them blow off. But if you just had a shorter strap and always strapped it on, then that could never happen. And it's not going to take you that long. to put a ratchet strap or even just the pull straps across there, and it might save your life. This poor person lost their life because of that disaster. And, simple thing, and sometimes it's the simple things that matter. But a key thing there is when you get off the road, get far off the road. And this person had, and they still were killed. So be really aware of that. And this person was so generous that after she lost her husband, they were RVers, and they got off the road. And let me read her letter. I am assumed to be 65 years old, and I wish to tell you my story how I lost my husband in 2018. As winter Texans since 2005, we would travel to and from Texas. We always used a car top carrier for extra items with no problems. However, this last year in July 2018, we sold our Minnesota home. The temperature was 106 degrees. Boy, that's just terrible. The car top carrier had never been used in that extreme temperature. The plastic softened and distorted, so the metal lock fastener popped off, so the unit opened. They pulled over to the side of the road to relax. While he was on the side of the road, he pulled over again. He fixed it, pulled over again to check it. As he was outside the van, by the driver's side door, he was struck and killed as a dually pickup towing a cargo trailer lost control at 78 miles per hour, according to a police and picture of the van at the scene. Even though he was pulled all the way off and nowhere near the road, he did everything right. It went horribly wrong, and nothing can change that, and he was killed. So everything has changed in her life. This happened last year. And she is donating $10,000 to the HOWA Emergency Fund. And they want to be anonymous, so we're not giving out their names. And $5,000 for the next van build. Well, that'll build a complete another van. This woman's amazing, generous heart is giving $10,000 for the HOWA Emergency Fund and $5,000 for a minivan, which will put someone in a minivan in real need. So we are so grateful. So, and that's how this Homes on Wheels Alliance is designed to work. That those who have a little extra help, or in this case, quite a lot extra, compared to most of us, most of us don't have $1 in the bank. And so those who have a little extra help those who don't have enough. And that's just so simple. And it just seems like that's what human beings are designed to do, what we're all supposed to be doing. And so I'm just so grateful to this woman, and we all are, and thank her so much. So the next announcement is what time is it? 15 minutes. I started a few minutes late. We're about on time. About done. We have HOWA's Homes on Wheels Alliance first birthday party. We're going to do a live feed next Wednesday, a week from today. And at this live feed, we're giving away our first minivan. We are flying in the person who is receiving the minivan. And so they're flying in to receive it, and she will receive it live over on that live minivan. And we're also going to have a bunch of people there, as many as could come, most couldn't, who were at the minivan build and actually built the minivan. We will board the minivan to meet the recipient, and we'll chat live with both myself and Sue Ann, the co-founders of the creators, and come celebrate with us. Just join in. They'll be at a caravan, and we'll celebrate with the caravan here very near in Oregon. And so we'll celebrate the caravans. That's I think the caravans have been our best success. We don't talk about them much anymore. We will as we get to the desert. They'll become, we'll talk more and more about them. They are not a big, there are not a lot of people in them in the summer. People scatter to the wind. But in the desert, they'll be full again. We'll have lots of them. So come to our live birthday party next Wednesday, a week from today. Finally, I want to give a shout out to a YouTube channel, a van lifer YouTube channel. I might start doing that. And it's a UK woman, a solo woman in the United Kingdom, and she's a single van lifer. The name of her YouTube channel is Van Quest, spelled just like it sounds, VanQuest. Go check out her YouTube channel. Okay, I think I'm going to be done with announcements. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do. Now we'll answer questions. So you've been writing in questions about cooking. Today's topic is cooking. Before I get started, let me show you around a little bit here. Turn this again. And so, why aren't you focused on anything? Are you going to focus? I don't know why you won't focus. Okay, let me go back. Yeah, it didn't want to focus. So I'm sitting here. This is how I cook. There's my laptop. This is my cooking setup. Right in front of the door. In the summer, I open the door to get air ventilation. It's just a propane, small one-burner propane. And this is how I cook. I've cooked thousands of meals inside a van. I can't really show you because I'm sitting in front of it, but underneath there, this is a cabinet. And underneath the cabinet, I have my propane tank, and I have a bottle. Well, you can see, I don't know if I can show you this or not. You can see there's a hose that goes down there. I don't know, can you see that? Oh yeah, there's the hose. Move around a bit, get a little further away. So you can see the hose goes down, and the propane bottle is underneath. And all my kitchen goods are underneath as well. I've made storage for all my kitchen goods, my pots and my pans, and not all my food. It's not the pantry, but most of my. That's how I cook. I have this cabinet that I built right in front of the side door, and I cook right here. And I'm sitting in my chair, my camp chair, and I can sit right here and cook. Or my bed is right beside me. I can cook there. So that's how I cook. I also do a lot of, and I've cooked thousands of meals inside a van. I've been doing this 17 years, and nearly all my cooking, for the most part, has been inside. I do have a microwave now, and I do a lot of microwave cooking. So we will now get to your questions, but that just gives you an idea of how I cook. Caroline asked regarding cooking. I do a lot of, Brad, will you come over and bring your Instant Pot? I do a lot of Instant Pot and crock pot cooking at home. Have others successfully translated this to the road, especially if we don't have the electricity to run these gadgets while on the road. Actually, my buddy here, Brad, is with us, and he cooks with an Instant Pot, and so I'm going to let you tell him tell you all about it, and he loves his Instant Pot. We'll do a video on it soon. He's doing it, so I'll just interview him about it. Okay, Brad. I know for some reason this didn't want to focus.
Maybe if there's a subject.
Oh yeah, there it did. It's fine.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
go ahead.
Cool. So I saw some of you guys had questions about cooking without gas. And so I have solar on my van. I have 200 watts of solar. I have a 200 amp hour battery and a 1,000 watt pure sine power inverter. And I use this Instant Pot to cook basically everything. This is the smallest size they make. It's 800 watts, and it's plenty for one person or even two people to make full meals. And I can do everything from more complex meals. I make soups with vegetables and potatoes and meat. And the nice thing is that you just toss in all the ingredients and turn it on for the cooking time, and you put the lid on, and that's it. It's simple. There's nothing to mess up, nothing to burn. And beyond complex meals, you can hard boil eggs in it, and you can also use it to boil water. So I boil water in this every morning for my coffee. So it's very multi-purpose. And then the other thing is, once you make a big fancy meal, I like to make a big meal and have it last over multiple days. And then when you're ready to reheat your items, you can just put them in a bowl. And then if you look in the Instant Pot, I don't know if you can see in here, but there's a little metal base in the bottom. And so you put about a cup of water in, put the metal base in, and then you put your bowl that has your leftovers on top of it, and you can just reheat it for a couple minutes and it'll just heat right up. And then you can have all your leftovers. And the great thing is there's no fuel to buy. You don't have to worry about propane. And I think it's a pretty safe option.
And how long does a typical meal, who knows what a typical meal is, but
sure.
Do you think you have an average time for meal, cook time?
Yeah, so the Instant Pot basically takes about 5 minutes to heat up once all the ingredients are in. And then most things only take about 10 minutes. Like my soup cooks for 10 minutes. The longest thing is rice. Rice takes about 15 minutes, but because it's using pressure and heat, it cooks much faster than just on a stove top. So you can cook things much quicker.
Right, and that's what saves it, is that
The
you don't
speed.
have to cook as long.
Right. You don't have to cook as long.
Right.
Mhm.
And 800 watts really isn't all that much.
It's not that much
No.
as long as you make sure you have an inverter that can handle it.
So you have 200 watts of solar, and how much battery do you
A
have?
200 amp hour battery.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you can run Instapot.
Absolutely, I think it's a
Great.
great solution.
Yeah. And it's basically a pressure cooker. Is that right?
It is. It's just an electric pressure cooker. So
Okay.
versus the traditional one, gets its heat from a stovetop, and this gets its heat from an electric element inside.
Yeah.
So, yep,
Great.
simple.
Thanks much.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it. Okay. All righty. So there we go. There's from the horse's mouth. I'm not sure Brad wants to be the horse's mouth, but it's better than the horse's patootie, I guess. Sorry, Brad. Okay, so there's a question down. Jennifer asks, "Hi Bob, my only question will be about storage for fruits, vegetables, and bread. I think I would probably need to get a bread box." How's that? Okay, that's pretty good. I would need to get a bread box and damp lid to fight humidity. What do you think? Well, if you're on the East Coast, then humidity would be an issue. It's not an issue out on the West Coast. What do you think? I was planning to stick to lots of veggies, sandwiches, soups, tacos, veggie pizzas, and salads when I hit the road, and lots of green smoothies. Well, it all depends on if you have refrigeration. I know Brad does have refrigeration, as do I. If you have refrigeration, then your cooking habits really won't change much just because you're on the road. I use a propane stovetop, just like you're probably using natural gas or maybe electric, but there's not much difference. So you cook just like you do. You don't have an oven. I use a microwave. I use a microwave pretty much daily. Your cooking doesn't have to change all that much if you have refrigeration. If you don't have refrigeration, then yeah, and if you don't live in a city. Now, when I lived in the city for my first 6 years of working in a van. Well, you could just go to the store every morning and buy whatever cold goods you need. You didn't have to buy very often on your way to work or driving around town. You could just stop in and get your cold goods for that moment. If you're out boondocking, then it's a little harder because you might have to carry a week's worth at a time or 2 weeks even. Now in the winter, that's not an issue. You can just find the coolest place in the van, and veggies will keep no problem. But in the summer, it's hard to find a place cool enough not to. You really need to have refrigeration if you're going to keep if you want to keep fresh vegetables for like a week at a time or more, you really are going to need some refrigeration. And that's about the longest you want to keep fresh veggies. Meat is another story. You might be limited to canned meats, the foil packed meats like tuna, and you can get that and other things too, chicken, and fish. You can get fish in those foil packs. So you can get some meat that doesn't need refrigeration. The big question is refrigeration. Your life won't need to change much. And you mentioned humidity. I underneath here I keep. Here's my bread. I buy Oro wheat. I love Oro wheat bread. That's my favorite. This is the one I have on hand. I'll either buy this or 100% whole wheat. I don't have any problem with it going bad, but I'm out in Oregon, out west. You don't have that humidity. Maybe in the horrible humidity of Arizona. I mean, of the East Coast, Florida, all those states, except particularly the southeastern states. The humidity would be a problem, but it has never been a problem for me. I've never had a problem. I'm a snowbird. If it's 90 outside, that's pretty hot for me. At my sister's, I'm at my sister's house a lot, and a lot of my food is outside. Oh, here's some prime examples. Yeah. Oh, I put down. So here's some prime examples. So here's a canned roast beef. And also, like these things, and Lipton, I think, is the other brand name that makes pastas and rices and just cooking. I know a lot of you want to eat better, and that will probably be a question: how do I eat better? And if you have refrigeration, if you have refrigeration and a propane stove, you can eat exactly like you eat at home. It doesn't have to be all that different, except you don't have an oven. So I think we exaggerate the problems. Unless you don't have refrigeration, then you've got a big problem. Okay. Jonathan, when using either LP or electric, are you better off cooking outside than in your rig? When possible. I cook inside my rig without any hesitation. I've never hesitated. I've cooked thousands of meals. I'm sure in the 17 years I've averaged at least 200 meals a year inside for 17 years, so that's 3,500 meals, and that's very conservative. I've cooked 4,000 meals inside a van, all of them on well, yeah, not including the microwave, all of them on propane, and I don't have any hesitation. And in the winter, I close this thing up tight. I don't think there's enough carbon monoxide coming out of the stove to be an issue. In fact, as you know, I heat with my propane stove, and I've left it on for hours and hours inside the van sealed up. Now, don't you ever do that. You will die. If you ever do that, you will be dead that night. The first time you do it, you'll die. But because of my unmagical powers, I can't. I don't think there's any issue to cooking inside the van. Like I said, I've been doing it. Now, just because I've gotten lucky and gotten away with it, does that mean you will? No, it does not mean that. But I'm going to keep doing it. Okay, Heidi, do you know anything about cooking with a Webesto cooktop, which is plumbed directly to the diesel fuel tank? I'm concerned about diesel fumes in the van, and please comment on the All-American Sun Oven. I cook everything in mine. I can do fried eggs with sausages, baked potatoes, quiche, pie, cookies, etc. It's also a fabulous slow cooker. Okay, yeah, boats are a lot of the boats use all diesel, and so they use the Webesto. In fact, that's probably where it came from, the marine world, because boats use so much diesel. A lot of them are diesel powered, and so they have diesel engines, and so all they're plumb into the diesel line. An earth roamer, I think, uses exactly Webesto. That's like a $250,000 and up rig. Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't hesitate to use anything designed. If it says safe to use inside, you're safe to use it inside. If it's not, if they're wrong and you use it according to their instructions and it harms you, either you or your estate can sue the pants off them out of existence. And they know that. If they say it's safe to use inside, I trust it. I really do. I don't trust that company. I think every corporation will kill you to save $1, but the lawyers won't let them. And so I hate the litigious society we live in, but it makes us infinitely safer. The lawyers won't let them do it. They'd kill you for $1 in a heartbeat, nearly all of them, but the lawyers will make sure they don't. So if and rightfully so, if they kill you because of their negligence and they put out a bad, unsafe product, they should be sued out of existence, and they will be. So, American Sun Oven, I love the American Sun Oven. I've owned one for long periods of time. They're very expensive. I think the cheapest you can get one is $250, and they might even be over $300 now. They keep going up. They keep going up in price. But they're fantastic. Solar ovens, I guess we should say that. They're a solar oven. In the winter, you can easily get over 300, 320 degrees on June 21st. If you've got a clear day in Arizona on June 20, so I said June, I meant December. I'm sorry. Let me say that all over again. December 21st is the solstice, the very shortest day of the year. The sun is the lowest on the horizon. So it's the worst day of the year to do anything with solar, including using a sun oven, a solar cooker. On December 21st, in December 21st, in quartzite, you can get up to 300, 325 with a sun oven. I've done it. I know you can. They're fantastic. And in the summer, you can hit 400 with a sun oven in this one. Not all the brand ovens, very few of them will do it. It's the best. It's the hottest. Others have advantages. Nothing. It is the best all around. The Sport is good, is very good. Sport, they're changing their name, I think. I don't know. It's very good. It's not as good. My friend, I can forget anybody's name at any moment. Jim in Denver. What's his name of his channel? Solar Boondocker on YouTube. He talks a lot. He's an expert on, and he and I have shot several solar cooking videos. So on my channel, go and look up the ones he's on. I'm an expert. I think of myself as an expert, but he's used all of the ovens and knows them all really well. So in that way, he's a much far greater expert than I am. So far greater expert than I am. So go to his channel, and I have several. And I think everything you need to know. We do talk about the global sun oven, the all American sun oven on it. I better stop. Move on. Yeah, you can cook everything in a good sun oven in the all American. Yvonne, can you put any saucepan on a barbecue grill to heat up water or sauce or soup? I ask because I know the pan can be put directly on fire or a kitchen stove, but is there a difference since that is gas and not burning wood or charcoal? Now I've never done that. It's never occurred to me to do that. Why would I put a saucepan on top of a barbecue grill? Barbecue grills are fantastically useful. You can do infinitely more than just cooking meat on them. You can do foil cooking, and this is what I recommend strongly for barbecue. I carry a barbecue, and this is one of the reasons. You wrap your food just directly into foil, and you have to do it in a specific way. I'll put in the link, Casey, pay attention to here. I'm going to put a link to a book called Foil Cooking in the description. And it gives you all the details on how you can cook. Of course, you can cook foil cooking in charcoal, but you can cook it right in your barbecue. But can you put a saucepan on it? It's like putting it in the oven. You can actually use a barbecue as an oven, and that's a long topic. I won't take the time. I have cooked a chicken breast in my small portable barbecue grill. I did it for Thanksgiving one year for a group of us. My contribution to Thanksgiving dinner was a chicken breast, and it cooked perfectly. I just wrapped it up in the foil, and you have to turn it, and you cook at a fairly low temperature, and you have to turn it fairly often so that it gets cooked around, doesn't scorch on one side. But you can use a barbecue for many, many things. I do not think I would put a pot in it. I don't even see the thinking behind that. But you could try. Maria asks, I am a vegan, no animal products. How easy is it to eat fresh vegetables while living on the road? Are there many vegans living full time? Actually, there are a surprising number of vegans. Oh, and KC is a vegan, and she's written out an answer. Thank you. I will say, again, if you have refrigeration, it's very little different than doing it at home. And KC, tell me if you think I'm wrong, if this is not true. Oh, let me read what KC said, so you'll have a real vegan's answer. Answer from KC. I have been full-time for a year and a half. I have a 65-quart winter fridge, which keeps me lots of fruits and veggies, and I shop at farmers markets all summer. I do not cook much anymore and just prefer eating fresh vegetables and veggies most of the time. I could not eat this way without my huge fridge, which is key for me to be able to eat healthy while being a nomad. So I took out my front seat and replaced that seat with my fridge. And I actually have at least one video where we show her fridge in her front seat, and you can go look that up. But so if you've got refrigeration, it's not much different than being at home. That's fair, KC, to say that? If you have refrigeration, it's not much different. If you have refrigeration.
Yeah, if you have refrigeration, it's not much different now. But I couldn't live this way without my fridge.
Right. You got to have refrigeration. If you don't have refrigeration, you just can't, because you can't keep it long enough. Now, again, if you live in a city, if you stealth park in a city, which you can do, there's a lot of cities that are favorable towards stealth parking, and you can stealth park and you can go to the store every day. You can buy all your fresh stuff every day from perfect places, natural foods and all of them, but out here boondocking, you do have to have refrigeration. Okay, I think that's it. So, Casey, do I have another card?
Yes, I think you do.
I got it. Yep.
Okay.
Hair Wolf asks, my pin is empty. What is the name of that cooker again, please? That's a hot pot, instant pot. I'm sorry. It's an instant pot. It's the electric. I think I shouldn't say because I'm not an expert. I think it's kind of a blend between a pressure cooker and a well, it's just kind of a pressure cooker. A lot of people love them. They're very popular. Instant pot. Walter Pendleton asks, have you used canned pre-cooked ground beef from Amazon? It's a survivalist item. I have not. I have bought survivalist food, and I have not. I carry my own. I just cook my own. I have refrigeration, so I just In fact, I'm going to make hamburgers tonight. And so I just cook my own hamburgers. Roseanne Massman, Bob, how much solar do you need to run a microwave, fridge, etc.? Well, my friend Brad is running both fridge and his Instant Pot on 200 watts. I do recommend 200 watts. It's pretty marginal for a microwave. That's only, his Instant Pot is only drawing 800 watts, but a microwave is drawing 1200. I have a very small microwave, and it's 750 watts cooking power, but that's cooking power. That's not what it draws. I've connected it to a kilowatt, which is a device that measures the wattage of 110 traveling through it, and it's 1200 watts. So that's a very great deal of power. You need a minimum of a 1500 watt pure sine inverter. It's got to be pure sine. I have a 2000 watt pure sine inverter. I'm going to do a video really soon, I think, on cooking with a microwave in a van. I do it all the time. I do it every day. And I have 4 golf carts. Golf carts don't put out a lot of power really fast. I've been told that you can do it, and I've never done it, so it's just, I don't know it for a fact, that you can do it with 200 watts, 200 amp hours of regular 12 volt AGM deep cycles, or any deep cycle. But I don't know that. The problem is you drop, and when I do when I show the microwave video, I'll turn the microwave on, and we'll watch the voltage of the battery drop. So if, say it's full, completely full, and it's reading at 14.2, and I turn the microwave on, it will drop down to 12 or 11.9 or even 11.8, and that's pretty close to where your inverter kicks out. Is usually they'll kick out no lower than 11.6. So the problem is having enough juice to keep it from kicking out, and I've had that happen a lot. And don't use a cheap inverter, a modified sine wave. They're crap. That's not true. There are some modified sine wave inverters that are so good, so clean, you can run a microwave on them. They're few and far between. Trip light. I have a friend with a trip light that is not pure sine, but it is such pure power that it will run his microwave. So it depends on the quality of the inverter a lot. So my recommendation is, and this is what I have, so I know you can, is to run it with 400 watts of solar and 4 golf carts. But if it depends on all your other uses, you probably could get away with 200 or 300 with either 2 or 3 batteries, as long as they're 12 volt batteries. Evangelist Mike's asks, how many quarts is the Instapot? Brad, if you're listening, how many quarts is your Instapot? And do they vary? Are there different sizes? I don't know. Well, I'll ask Brad. Maybe he'll come over. Dre Saro asked, do you have it to adjust cooking times on the pressure cooker for higher elevations? And yes, I'm almost certain you do. I've actually owned and used a pressure cooker quite a bit, and I really recommend pressure cookers.
I have the 3-quart model.
But you can buy different sizes.
Different sizes, and then it's more watts.
Oh, that's the watt. The difference is.
That one was 700. The larger quart sizes are over 1,000 watts.
Okay, so you have a 3-quart, and it's 800 watts.
Yes, 800, I believe. Yes, 800.
3-quart, but the bigger ones are over 1,000 watts.
Correct. That's why I chose this one. But if you had a 2,000 watt inverter or something.
Right.
Right.
So you can get them a different size. Yours that we showed is 3 quarts, which is, you've probably never used all of that.
Not really. It's, yeah, I mean, if you made that whole thing, you'd have nowhere to store it.
Yes, how would you store that much food?
Exactly.
So unless you're cooking for a group, which some of us do, then you would, at the 3 quarts is plenty big enough.
Plenty, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Let me show you a pressure cooker. A friend of mine actually loaned me her pressure cooker, and I'll just show it to you. I've carried and used a pressure cooker. They work great. They save you a lot of propane because it builds up pressure and it cooks so much faster. And you can take, for an example, is you can take a really poor, like a chuck roast that just doesn't look very good, and you can put it in a pressure cooker, and in like 15 or 20 minutes, it'll come out falling apart, tender and delicious. And you put some spices in there. So this is my friend's pressure cooker. This is this one's 2 quart, so it's good size. You can buy these in 1 quart. They're a little hard to find. This was a vegetable steamer. She kind of disassembled it, and puts it in here. Some foods, like yams, you don't want to put them on the bottom. She cooks a lot of yams. So for you who are wanting to cook healthier, pressure cooker where you cook up some yams real quick. What a delicious, healthy meal. And so she puts her yams in here, and it has these. Oh, you're not seeing that, are you? So that's in there, and it has these lugs. And then you put this. It has 2 arrows. And I don't think I'm going to get that close enough. It has 2 arrows. And then now the arrows are lined up. Let me see, how much can I show you this? And then you twist it until it pops in. Oops, it's not on. I'm doing this wrong. I'm going to have to do it and then show you. Okay, there. Now it's sealed. And so there's the lugs line up so they grab and it doesn't fly apart. And if you ever used a pressure cooker, this heavy thing sits on here. And it's heavy enough that until it starts to build up pressure, it stays on and kind of seals this. And once the pressure starts to build up, it starts to pop, just like that. And that's how you know you're building up pressure. And when it gets hot enough, it just pops up and stays up. And it'll never build up pressure beyond that because this is a relief valve. And so these are, it's kind of cool. It's kind of the music of a pressure cooker, and you know it's working and getting its job done. Pressure cookers will save you a lot of money. They will let you cook meat to be delicious that would not be otherwise. And but if you want to eat healthier, for those of you who want to eat healthier, it's beans, it's legumes, it's grains. You can really quickly cook up grains. So especially for vegans, a pressure cooker is an ideal tool. Okay, let's move on. Next question. And yeah, I'm almost certain there's so much information online about pressure cookers. You do there are forums, there are websites dedicated to them. Everything you could possibly want to know about pressure cooker cooking, you can get online. And I'm not an expert, so don't trust me. And it's been quite some time since I've used a pressure cooker. I try things out because I want to use everything I possibly can so I can tell you about it. And it worked great. I loved it. I had a 3-quart, but I finally I cook so simple. I don't like taking the time. I'm not a cook. I don't enjoy cooking. I just want to eat. That's why I'm mostly microwaving food. I don't want to wait. I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. So, I think the Instapot brand that's the brand name is Instapot. I don't know that you can, if anybody knows, write in and tell me. The brand name of the Instapot is Instapot. That was Julio. Thank you, Julio, for a question. Mediocre is not okay. Mediocre is not okay. I'm not sure I would agree with that, but I think I'm mediocre.
It's Instant Pot. It's called Instant Pot.
Yeah, the Instant Pot is called the Instant Pot. If you go to Amazon and type in Instant Pot, that's what comes up. I'm thinking about getting an alcohol stove, but I'm nervous about the open flame. Did you hear that, Casey? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I heard that she's nervous about the open flame.
Oh yeah. You wrote out the question. You still cook with your alcohol stove quite a bit?
Yeah, I don't cook too much anymore, but I have a small one, and that makes me more comfortable about the flame because it's just small. So, no matter what, it goes out in an hour and a half.
Right. Yeah, that's good. So you're using a regular backpacker's alcohol stove.
Yeah, small. It only holds like 8 ounces or less, maybe 4 ounces.
And you put it inside something so if it spills, it's not an issue. Is that right?
Yeah, I keep it inside a stand that's actually like a little backpacker's wood stove, and I keep it inside that.
So you're almost certainly not going to kick it over, and if you do, it's not going to be a flame.
Right, and I even put that on top of like an aluminum kind of like a backsplash thing so that it's not sitting directly on the floor.
Right. So yes, you can. KC uses. She doesn't. You don't do hardly any cooking, right?
No, not hardly anymore.
But Kate, you're pretty much trying to eat raw, correct? KC.
Yeah, mostly vegan raw.
Casey's mostly vegan raw, but since I've known her, she has used an alcohol stove inside her van. It is possible and I agree with you. You're nervous. Just think through. Just think it all through. Get a big pot. Go to the thrift store, and you'll find tons of pretty big pots, big enough pot that you can put your other pot in it, or a frying pan. Even a 2 or 3 inch frying pan that's 12 inches around. Put that inside. Put your stove on top, your pot on top of it. Set it on your floor. You're almost certainly going to be safe. Working with open flame inside is always risky. You're right to be concerned. Be very, very careful. But Casey has been doing it, and a lot of people do. Be very careful. Okay, Casey, do I have another one? Card number 3. Okay, good. We're moving right along here. David Marsh, hi Bob. Do you folks over the pond have a Bury black puddings? They're just fantastic and really, really good if you are traveling. Sorry, on this side of the pond, we've never heard of that. Or this guy on this side of the pond has never heard of that. Bury black pudding. Sorry. You guys eat a lot of puddings, don't you? Over there in the beautiful, sunny United Kingdom. I'm assuming that's what you mean by over the pond. David Marsh, probably. Okay, yeah, nope, sorry, don't know what that is. Rojo Zosa asks, any recommendation on hiker food packs for emergencies? Well, there are a lot of 72-hour kits, packs full of 3 days worth of food. No, I've actually owned some in the past. I've done a couple of blog posts. Oh, that's not true. I think it was Augustin Farms. One of the freeze-dried foods company sent me a freeze-dried food. I think it might have been a 30-day supply, and I gave it to my friend Robert, who used to edit videos for me, and he ate them and reviewed them. So I have got a review here on YouTube of those 30-day food packs of freeze-dried foods, and I can't think of what the name would be of the video right now, but it's up there. Emergency foods, maybe if you did a search on that. But I don't really have an answer. I love Mountain House, I'll tell you that. I think Mountain House freeze-dried meals, packing meals are the best flavor. I went on a 6-week extended, I've done a lot of backpacking in my younger years, not anymore. And I always ate Mountain House, and I loved them. And I went on a 6-week rafting. I flew into the Arctic for 6 weeks, and we did backpacking trips and rafting and hunting, and we ate Mountain House the whole time, and I'm a big fan of Mountain House. Mimi Rogers, what if you're a car dweller, no room for a fridge? Well, you can do no fridge cooking. We showed you whatever I did with those two. There's no fridge cooking, but it's processed foods. And if you're in the city, of course, you just go to the store every day and buy fresh foods. If you're boondocking, there's not a store nearby, you just can't do that. Then it's kind of processed foods, canned meats. Yeah, if you don't have refrigeration, it's kind of processed foods, and there's a lot of them. You can have a good variety of processed foods. You could just have to try and eat the healthiest you can without refrigeration. There's a lot of variety. I'm not saying there's a lot you can eat without eggs. You can get eggs. There's got to be one place in your van which stays really cool, and then buy one of the soft-sided coolers, and then all your cool things go in there. And there's someplace under the bed, tucked away, where it will stay reasonably cool. Keep everything in that, and it will still last. Like eggs will last you a week if you keep them in the coolest place in the van. In the winter, no problem. That cool place will be pretty cool. In summer, it won't be terribly cool. But you can buy eggs and eat eggs. There are a lot of the canned meats we showed earlier. The foil packed meats. You can add meat to your diet. Fish, you can get all the canned and foil packed fish if you want to eat a little healthier. And then there's always the packaged meals. There's lots and lots of them. So, yeah, I should do a video on one of these days on just no refrigeration cooking, because there's a lot you can do with no refrigeration cooking. SoCal Craigster, can you talk about canning tomatoes, vegetables, and pickling? I can't. I don't know anything about it. So I'm sorry, I just can't tell you. And I don't see how you could possibly do it on the road in a car or a van. You could do it in an RV, but then where are you going to get the stuff? I guess you could go to a farmer's market and get some of the leftovers, some of that isn't perfect, and then can that. But if you're just going to buy it and can it yourself, well, it'd be healthier, wouldn't it? Because you could buy it. You could go to a farmer's market and buy organic and can it yourself. But, for us on the road, doing your own canning just doesn't make much sense. You're not going to grow it on the road. Where are you going to get it from to can it? So no, I don't know anything about it. I can't help you. Okay, Vicky Parsons, 62. I laid a big rock in the fire, used my iron skillet, and cooked the steak I bought from a local butcher. Yeah, there's a lot of open fire cooking you can do. I'm no expert. I actually did buy you can buy on Amazon the tripod with the chain that hangs down, and then a tripod inside the chain, so you could put an iron skillet in there. You need to be careful with putting rocks in a fire. They can explode. Now, they won't all explode. In fact, most of them won't explode, but some of them will. And so be very careful about putting rocks in the fire. Really, rocks, you want to cook on an open flame, the best thing is to get a really hot bed of coals, and then you do foil cooking. I think I would rather do the foil cooking of meat than on a skillet, because then you're cooking it all inside. The juices stay inside. I had a friend that did a lot of foil cooking over a barbecue. It's the same thing if you're doing it over a bed of coals. And he would dice an onion, and he would put the onion on the bottom of the foil, and you make tints out of the foil. And this book I'm telling you about, foil cooking, gives a lot of descriptions of how to make different kinds of tints. So here's the aluminum foil. I have some aluminum foil I could demonstrate with. Yeah, let me do that. Why not? Foil cooking is a very good, something you should all give more thought to. You can do it on a barbecue. You can do it over charcoal, or over coals, open coals on a burning hot fire. Okay, I happen to have a piece of my good friend Sue-Ann. Gave me a piece of her. So you would do something like this. So you would lay down a bed. You're not saying that, are you? So you'd have a bed. You'd make a bed like this. And I'm not an expert. This is not the right way to do it. Buy the book and then learn how to do it. But you would make a bed and you would dice an onion. This is what he did. He would dice an onion, and then he would put it in, and you'd probably make a boat out of it. So that's probably what you would do. And I'm not an expert, so don't follow me. Find an expert. I bet you could find a lot of stuff on this on YouTube. So I made a little boat. I don't know how well you can see that. I just made a boat, and just by wrapping it up, and I think it'd be sealed tight. And then you would chop or just dice an onion, lay that on the bottom, lay your meat on top of it, dice some carrots, lay them on top, dice a potato, yellow potato, red potato, put some on top of that, and then you make the tent. This wasn't big enough. I didn't plan ahead. Didn't plan on doing this. You would, you squeeze it together, something like that, and then you just turn it over, so it becomes sealed. And then you just lay this down in your bed of charcoals, or in your barbecuer. If you have a barbecuer, you lay this on the barbecuer, and that's it. I've just got a little boat with a seal over the top, and boy, that works really well. I've had numerous friends that did that with their barbecuers and on open coals, and worked really well. I would really highly recommend it. Okay. So I would probably do that before I would do. And then he said the onions would caramelize because they're being cooked from the bottom, and that's keeping the meat off of and most of the onions off of the bottom of the aluminum foil, so they're not scorching. And he said the onions would caramelize in all that heat, and they would get into the meat. And he said it was the best food he's ever eaten. So it's really a good possibility. Foil cooking is something more of us should look in. And then someone's going to ask about cooking on the manifold of your engine with foil cooking. You can, and I don't know enough about it to advise you, but I don't know if this book covers that or not. I know there are books and YouTube videos that talk about manifold cooking on your engine, and I just don't know enough to answer it. MacGyver Sharon asked, does the Instant Pot drain your battery? And no. He said that with 200 watts on the roof and 200 amp hours of battery, he didn't have any problem. It's not like it took all of his power. See, he's only cooking. Let's think about this a little bit. Draws 800 watts. Let's say it draws 1,000 watts, and it does that for 10 minutes. Oh, I'd have to do the math, and I'm not going to be able to do it without a calculator. I'll do the math for a microwave. I've done the math for a microwave. Here's the math way, and you would just reduce it because it's 800 watts instead of 1,200. And a microwave ends up drawing an amp a minute. It draws 120 amps an hour. 1,200 divided by 100 amps an hour is an amp a minute divided by 60. It ends up being an amp a minute, as I know that. I've done all the math. I figured it all out. If I run my microwave for 10 minutes, how much power did it take out of my battery? And it ends up being an amp a minute. So if I do a 10-minute cook on my microwave, it's drawn off 10 amps. It's a little more complicated than the straight math because there's something called the Pukert effect, which says a huge draws more, a disproportionate amount. And you're going to have a lot of waste. You're probably going to have 10% waste at a minimum coming out of the inverter. So you're drawing a little more. But it works out to be about an amp a minute. And his Instant Pot's taking less than that. So if he does a 20-minute cook, he's probably pulled less than 20 amps. And he has 100 amps to play with. He has two 100 amp hour batteries. So that's a total of 200. He can only burn half. That's 100. He's got 100 to play with. And he's used maybe 20 on that cook because it's well less than an amp a minute. I know that. And so it really isn't that enormous a draw. I would say it's closer to 3/4 of an amp a minute. So if he ran 10 minutes, that's only 75 watts. No, it's not even 7. It's not. It's 7.5 amps. It's only 7.5 amps. Okay, I'm done. I'm doing math in my head's always a mistake.
You got more card after this.
Okay, I better hurry. Is Yeti considered the best ice cooler, but there are comparable and cheaper versions? Please talk about coolers versus fridges. I would never spend $300, $400, $500 on a cooler. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. How much? So infinitely better. Yeah, they're tough. You can drive your car over it. You know what my advice is? Don't drive your car over it. Come on. You buy a good 5-day cooler from Igloo or Coleman or whoever else makes a good 5-day cooler. You go to Home Depot, you buy a sheet of 1-inch or 2-inch ESP, ESP styrofoam. ESP stands for extruded EPS. It's EPS, extruded polystyrene. That's the blue stuff or the pink stuff. Exact same stuff. One company's pink, one company's blue. It's indestructible. It's extremely high. It's probably at least 5 or 6 R value. You cut and mount it on the bottom. You glue it to the bottom. Then you make sides all around it and build a box, and you glue them to each other, just with super glue, just with Gorilla Glue. And then you can duct tape it if you don't think that's enough. And then you put a top on that you can remove so that it fits down in and is removable. Or you just tape it on so it just kind of hinges with tape. And you've got far better insulation than that Yeti, and you've spent 60, 70 bucks. And no, you can't drive your car over it. Don't drive your car over it and problem solved. No, I don't recommend any of these super coolers. I think they're all just throwing money away. Even, now there are a lot of imitations that are much cheaper. 200 bucks. Don't spend 200 bucks on a cooler. Spend 80, 60, 70, 80 bucks on a good 5-day cooler. Go to Home Depot, buy some super glue, buy a sheet of XPS, extruded polystyrene. That's the pink or the blue. And it'll be much better than any Yeti ever made or ever will be made. Don't buy a Yeti. Talk about coolers versus fridges. I'm assuming you're talking about, and this is a very good question. Should you buy a cooler or should you buy a 12-volt compressor fridge? I own a 12-volt compressor fridge. I have a video which compares a bunch of different brands. Please go back and look at that. It's a great, it really was a good video. It was one of my better videos. And I compare like 5 different brands. I'm going to redo another video on my truck fridge. I currently have a truck fridge brand I'm very happy with. It draws about 5 amps. They're expensive. That's the difference. But if you buy a $400 Yeti, you can buy a $400 12-volt compressor fridge that will never buy ice again. There's no question in my mind that in the summer, in most places, if you're in most places, in 2 years, maybe even a year, you'll save enough on ice and thrown away food and gas to go buy more ice to pay for a 12-volt compressor fridge. There's no doubt in my mind. I've done the math. I figured it out. There's no question in my mind. Even in mild cases where you're not burning all that much, it's not all that cold, you're not burning all that much ice. In 2 years, you can cover the cost of a compressor fridge. Of course, you got to pay all that money up front, and that's what keeps a bunch of people from doing it. You can pay $5 a week for ice, but you can't pay $500 today for a new compressor fridge, and I understand that. It is a hard one. No, compressor fridges are 1,000 times better. 200 watts will easily run a compressor fridge. 100 watts is pretty marginal. It can be done, but 200 watts is far better. If you have 200 watts of solar, you can easily run a compressor fridge, almost of any size. They really don't draw more the bigger they get. They might run a little more, and then they'll draw more, but the compressor itself doesn't. Okay, yeah. Only worst case, you can't put the money together to buy a compressor fridge. In every other situation, you're better off buying one. And there's some new cheap brands out. In fact, I'm thinking about buying one of the cheap ones just to test it. I don't have room for it. I already have one. You know what I might do when I get to Quartzsite is put my truck fridge in storage or loan it to someone and buy one of the new cheap ones and test it. Because I'd like to test the cheap ones. Do they hold up? And they're a couple $100 less, and that's significant. Maybe you can afford $300 for a fridge, but you can't afford 5 or 6. And of course, the premium ones are $800, $1,000. Okay, let's get going. Oh, I'm over already.
Yeah, we're over. You got one more part.
Okay, I don't mind going over, and if you can't stay, then thank you so much for watching. However long you watched, I really appreciate it. If you can't stay, then go ahead and just leave. But if you still, I have 8 more questions to go. And the last one is Sharon, Dolphin, Willow Wolf, Oopsie E, Cali Girl, Susan E, F. I'm going to answer your questions if you want to hang around. Okay, number 1, Susan E, F. Are Yeti really worth the higher price? Not a chance in hell. Don't buy one. Buy a 5-day cooler and add your own styrofoam insulation from Home Depot. Number 2, Cali Girl. How do you wash dishes after your meal? Right there. That's how I wash my dishes. I'm serious. It's just cool. It's just water. I only use water. So let's just assume I've cooked a meal in this. And I've cooked a lot of meals in a lot of 1 quart, 2 quart, 3 quart pans. And Sue Ann, I'm going to wash your dish for you. Although it's already clean. Okay. Here. I wipe it all out. There's going to be food in there. Whatever I cooked in there, it's going to be in there. I'm going to wipe out that residue. And when that residue is mostly gone, I'm going to just spray it with water. I've got to get my paper towels. Let me get my paper towels. I probably shouldn't bother with all this. I love to communicate and help folks. And you're scared of, and so many people do such elaborate things to cook dishes. It isn't that hard. Oh, where's my paper towel? There it is. Okay, paper towel. Only buy the selected size. And you wipe it out. Pretty complicated, isn't it? And that's it. And I do that until it's clean, until there's just absolutely no sign of resistance in there of anything residue. No sign of any residue. Here's the surprising thing about bacteria: they're fragile, terribly, terribly fragile. That's why you see surgeons scrubbing. It's the scrubbing that destroys them much more than the soap. They're also using antibacterial because that's an extreme situation. One of these days, I'll tell you all about bacteria. They have the reason bacteria evolve so fast and we can barely keep up with them is that they have a very thin membrane. And when they actually touch each other, they can pass DNA back and forth. they evolve really quickly. They don't have to evolve through sexual reproduction. They just touch each other and they pass DNA back and forth. But that means they're very fragile, very, very fragile. You scrub on this, you've killed all the bacteria that are in there. There's nothing alive. If you don't get all the food out, then new bacteria will grow in that food. So you got to get all the food out. There can't be anything left. There can't be a grease. I used to carry one of these with vinegar. And so I would do what I just described, just spray it out, wipe it out, till there was nothing left. I'd give it a final coat with vinegar and then scrub that out good with paper towel. And then I knew it was clean. I have also used hydrogen peroxide. And I also know for a fact, I actually did some research. I said, is this really working? Does vinegar really kill germs? We all think it does, but does it? Does science say it does? And it doesn't do as good as we think, but it does do it. It does actually kill germs. The science is mixed. But oddly enough, the combination of vinegar and hydrogen peroxide is death to germs. I mean, it's just death to germs. I don't know why, that combination. And so I knew a guy, the first guy who taught me about this, sprayed it with vinegar, sprayed it with hydrogen peroxide, let that set. Nothing's going to live in there. I have a friend who sprays it with cheap vodka. There's nothing living in there. So that's how. I've been doing it for 17 years. Never had gastrointestinal problems on the road. Okay, so enough. That's how I cook. That's how I wash dishes. I never get hot water warm, put soap in it, soak them, scrub them like you do at your home. Never do that. Oopsie. Sue Ann Carlson, I would love to see a video on how you cook in a Prius. Oh, the dress to Sue Ann. On how you cook in a Prius. Actually, the pressure cooker belongs to Sue Ann. She's here. And this belongs to Sue Ann. So this is part of the answer. And I know for a fact she uses a butane cooker. And this, and probably more. Maybe she and I will do a video on it together. I think that's a great idea. But yeah, that belongs to Sue Ann. She cooks a lot. She actually cooks more than most people I know in vans. Yeah. Willow Wolf. Any reviews on Coleman stove and oven combo? I'm not sure Coleman makes one. There's another company that makes one. What's its name? I can't remember the company's name. Stove and oven combo. I don't think Coleman makes one. And I can't remember the name of this other company that does. It's pretty well known. I have heard quality control issues about that. And it's this box. It's just about, must be 2 foot tall by 2 foot square and then long. Has 2 burners on top. Basically, it's a 2-burner stove with an oven underneath that opens, like a regular oven. And I've known numerous people that had them. And I've known people who loved them, and I've known people who had quality control. They failed on them. So I don't have direct experience to give you, and I hate to tell you anything without direct experience. But as long as they work, they're great. You get a real oven. It really works just like an oven. I wish I remembered the name, but I can't remember the name. And I don't believe Coleman makes one. Coleman does make a portable folding oven that you put on top of your propane stove, and I've tested those. I've owned and tested those, and they work well, surprisingly well. You'd think they'd be junk, but they work really well. I have a review on my YouTube channel about the Coleman folding oven. You can go read it. Dolphin 1177, Bob, how do you deal with splattering, smells, and the mess of cooking in a van? Well, I have a video. Oh, let me just show you. Where's that at? All my cooking stuff is down here, and that should be right here. All kinds of. We got lids and pans. Where's that at? I thought it was right here. Where'd it go? I have a splatter guard. It's a 3-sided. They're about 8 inches by 8 inches, with hinged with 3 of them, and it goes around and stops splatters. And you got a lid for your pot. But I wonder where my splatter guard went. It should be right here. Oh, there it is. It just got tucked back really far. It's caught up and everything. I can't get to it. That's not it. So I put a splatter guard over it, around it, and I'll put a link in the description. And then you've seen me do this. This is how I heat. And then this piece of aluminum foil sits down over top, and so nothing can splatter. That works really well. Splatters are just using a splatter guard and some kind of protection. That's no big deal. What was the other question? How do you deal with splatters, smells, and the mess of cooking? I don't really have much of a mess. I do cook meat in the van. Because it's raining today, I probably fry up hamburgers in the van today. And usually with the doors closed because I want the warmth. It just has never been an issue. It sounds like a big deal. It's not. And smells, it just hasn't been any issue for me at all. We tend to think this is going to be really, really hard when it's just really very simple. Sharon Nix, has anyone ever used gas in the Coleman dual stove? Well, I'm not sure exactly what the question is. There are they have the white gas and propane stoves, if that's what you mean. The white gas one would have the little pump thing you pump. I'm sure lots of people have used gas in that. In the Coleman dual stove. You could mean the butane with a hose that comes out and then hooks up to regular propane. And then you might be asking, can you use propane on it? And yeah, I didn't have the Coleman, but I had what's the other name of the company? Gas One. I think it might be Gas One. Whatever the name of the other one is, there's a new one out now that is that's not it. There's a new one out that does both butane in the regular butane stoves packaging and propane, and I've used those and they work fine. It just has a hose that comes out and connects to your green propane bottle. I'm not exactly sure what your question is. If you're being the pressure one that also will hook up to propane, I'm sure lots of people use those. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't really understand the question. Emily VBR, how can you wash dishes without running water? I just went through that. Where did they go? Did I put it back? Oh, there it is. You use this. Use this and this. Paper towel and water. No big deal. I've been doing it for a long time. And back up when this comes out live, when we're done with the live, and you can watch it on YouTube, back up about 5 minutes, and I go through the whole process. Phyllis May, many nomads use diluted white vinegar in a spray bottle to wash dishes using paper towels to wipe them out. Yes, and we talked about using white vinegar. I don't even use it anymore. I just wipe it out. I haven't used anything, and I don't even. And I used to dilute it, and I don't even. The last I used it, I didn't even dilute it. Lisa asks, has anyone used New Way? And if memory serves, New Way is one of the brands of the, what's it called when it's magnetic? Condensed? I think it's a C word. I forget. But it's magnetic. And so they're electric, and your stove has to have a steel bottom, and it has conduction. I knew there was a C in there. They're conduction oven tops. And it's literally magnetic, and it vibrates the metal magnet so fast that it gets super hot. You can be boiling water 1 second, take the pot off, put your hand on it, and it won't even burn your hand. It won't even be hot because it's electronic. It's not heat, but it does have to take a special kind of pot, which is no big deal. It just has to have a steel bottom, and the thicker the steel bottom, the better, but it's no big deal. They're easy to find. You may have to buy new. You can't use aluminum. You can't use, I'm not sure if you can use cast iron or not. I'm not sure. I do know people who have used them. They are good. They do work. You'll need either a 1500 or 2000 watt pure sine inverter. They do want pure sine. They're picky on the cleanness of their power. It has to be very clean power. Can't be a cheap junk pure sine wave. They do draw a lot of power. I think it's on high they're like 1200 watts, so you're an amp an hour and so an amp a minute. And so if you run it for 20 minutes, then I don't know if they cook faster or not. I've never used one, so this is all secondhand. If it's a 20-minute burn, you're going to burn 20 amps, or a little more. That's under best case. Might be a little more, maybe no more than an amp and a half, no more than 30 amps for a 20-minute cook, which isn't too terribly bad. I mean, that's practical. And if it's a 5 or 10-minute cook, it's not all that much power at all. People use them. I can only tell you that people use them. You need to have a fair amount of battery and solar. Okay, I think we're done. So, folks, thanks for watching. Let me rambling on and on about cooking. A lot I have not done, but I know a little bit about most things, and I think most of what I know is fairly accurate. And if it's not, I tell you, I'm just guessing. So there you go. I hope that helped. If this did help, that's why I do everything I do, is to make your life a little better living on wheels. And if you got anything out of this, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. Go down, hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you on the next video. And I'm shutting us down. Oh, no bubbles. Are you there? Did you quit? I fooled you. Am I still on?
You're still on.
Okay, I fooled you. I did not, just being dumb. I forgot. No bubbles. How can I not have bubbles? I can do a little, okay, come up. And then bubbles are there. Oh, we got bubbles. I love bubbles. Everyone.
Bob, announce about the party. Bob.
Remind about the party. Next week's party, right?
Yes, on the 28th.
Okay, and a quick reminder before I go. I better dance. What would a live be without dancing? And I fooled a bunch of you into leaving. Huh?
Tell them about awarding the minivan build
Okay,
to the deserving recipient and the party.
I'll do it. Turn off the bubbles. So a reminder, a week from today, we're giving away our first minivan. It's a nice minivan. We're flying the person in to receive it. We're having a first birthday party, our very first birthday of Homes on Wheels Alliance. We're celebrating all we've done, which is an enormous amount. We're giving away a minivan. We're giving away 40 complete solar kits. We've had almost, not quite a full year on the caravans, gone superbly, helped a lot of people. We're changing people's lives, and we're doing it only because of you. Thank you so much. So that's all. So watch next Wednesday and on the birthday party.
Yeah, next week.
Next Wednesday, right?
Right, it's the 28th.
The 28th.
September 4th will be solar again.
And September 4th will be solar again. That's good reminder. Okay, now we'll talk to you later.